Hey, welcome back, knife nerds and everyday care people. It's your boy, the Big Canucker here, and got ourselves a new review of an iconic knife, a classic knife, a knife that I think if you're a serious Spyderco collector, you must have. If you're a knife collector, I think it's something that you definitely want in your collection. And I also think that it is a knife that set I think the bar on affordable everyday carry, and that is the Spyderco Delica. Now this one happens to be the Delica 4 stainless. Now most people are familiar with the Delica in the FRN handle. I wanted to get a Delica in my hand and in my pocket, and I just happened to luck out and find the stainless steel model. So that's what I'm going to review it on. So there is some differences between this and I think the FRN model. The biggest being the weight. This seems like a really, really solid knife, and it's something that I'm certainly happy that I put in my pocket. I think it is an absolute fantastic everyday carry knife. It is something I think that is, if there was a everyday carry Hall of Fame set of knives, this would definitely be in it, the Spyderco Delica. Now let's kind of go over some technical specs here real quick. Now it is, overall length is 7.15 inches long, so it is in that kind of sweet spot. We'll do some size comparisons here. Here is probably in the Spyderco's world, I think a competitor of this knife, and this is actually the Native 5. Very, very similar. And we'll have a look at probably another knife here that's in the Everyday Carry Hall of Fame. It is the Paramilitary 2. They really get to see the size of this compared to the Paramilitary 2. It's not a big knife, but it is. It's a big performing knife, if you know what I mean. Well, let's kind of put maybe one more here. I've got that, which is the Civivi Arch or X Arch, and you can see that it is very, very identical. It's so close to the Spyderco Arch, and this is I consider this, and it's weird. I wonder if it has to do with the width of the blade. I consider this more of a gentleman's folder. This one here can be used as a gentleman folder, but I think it's more of a everyday carry, harder working knife. But maybe that's just my own perception because of the thinness of the blade. That just seems how I kind of think of them. All right, let's put that away here. Go over the rest of the spec. Now, the closed length is 4.2 inches long. The blade thickness is 2.5 millimeters, so it's got a very slender blade. Now, it is tip up or tip down, and this one is ambidextrous, left or right hand carry. Of course, it's got the lanyard hole, and I just haven't had the time to put a lanyard in this, and I think it makes the knife way more functional, and not just this knife, any knife. I really like having my leather lanyards on here. Your blade length is 2.95 inches. Now, to me, the sweet spot at everyday carry I think is 3.5 inches, although this is just a smidge under 3 inches, and it seems like this still does a great job cutting. It is a saber ground VG10 blade with the combo edge. Now, this is the first time, other than I had the Spidey, one of the Spyderco safety models there with the Spidey edge on it, and Spyderco does these scallops and does their serrated edges so fantastically, and they are of course chisel ground here, but of course here you've got the left and the right side. The rest of the edge is going to be just a regular ground blade. This is really nice especially if you're cutting some rope. I mean, it does a great job. These serrations here, they cut through fibers in rope like you wouldn't believe, and allows you to have the end here, because most of the time if you need something kind of scalpel like, it's kind of more of a position cut, like a draw cut. And I think a regular edge is quite a bit better than the combo edge, or than the straight edge at doing those kind of fine things, those fine, cutting. And I've seen other makes where they've got the plain edge here with the combo edge on the end. I just don't think that makes sense. I mean, a lot of people use it for, they say that, well, the reason they have the the straight edge on the bottom is because, you know, you're feather sticking or stuff like that using kind of wood. I still think you can feather stick with this this edge here too as well. And if you can't use that edge, then maybe you just choke up a little bit and use the tip of the knife to do that kind of woodworking. Now the let's just see, the edge length is 2.5 inches. You're losing a little bit here on the bottom ricasso here. It is stainless steel, completely stainless steel. It is made in Siki City, Japan. So you know the fit and finish on this knife was fantastic. The weight here now, it's a 4 ounce or 113 gram knife. And I should have looked up the weight of this one here. But you can see that I think this one here is 2.5 ounces and this one here is 4 ounces. And I mean, this, when you've got, you know, four ounces isn't a deal breaker. It'll still fit comfortably in like a pair of sweatpants or, you know, a really nice pair of slacks, you know, because lots of times you don't want a super heavy knife and you know, you're doing a little bit of fancy dress or you've got a pair of shorts on. This will still work, although this would be nicer. I think I would prefer this knife in an FRN handle because I think the size of it, you want to have a little bit lighter. That's my opinion. I mean, the stainless steel is really, really nice for, you know, engraving. If you want to put a company logo on there, it, you know, does a fantastic job. Now, this knife here is many years old. I bought it from a fellow named Chris up in Calgary, Alberta, and he said that it was his everyday carry for quite some time. And you can see that it has worn really, really well. I mean, I took the tip on here, and you know, the tip was quite rounded off, so I ended up making it a little bit more pokier. I sharpened it. The VG10 sharpens so easy. That is also my biggest knock on this knife, is the fact that it is a VG10. I would love to have a Delica in an FRN handle with a ZDP 189 blade on it. And you know what? There is one for sale in Calgary. I just don't have the money to get it right now. Although I would love to get it. Let's just see here. You can see also here on this VG10 blade, it looks like they perhaps put it against a little bit of electrical, and it kind of ate a little bit away at the blade, because VG10, I can't see that being, you know, acid or anything like that, because VG10 is extremely stain resistant. It does do a fairly decent job at you know, holding an edge, but I don't know. I mean, that's just my biggest knock on the Spyderco brand, and especially some of these knives that are, you know, they're $250, $275. They look awesome. The design is fantastic, but the edge holding ability is just not there. I mean, VG10 is only slightly better than 8CR13 MOV, and don't get me started on 8CR13 MOV. Ergonomically, this knife is an absolute gem, as my friend Nick Shabazz would say. It's got some jimping on the back spine. It's got a really, really nice, larger Spidey opening hole here too as well. The other thing here that they did, I was reading about some constant quality improvements, is they did a larger thumb hole. They did the jimping along the bottom, and they did a new forward clip design. I guess those are new things for the newer Delicas. I guess the original Delicas may not have come with that. This is, of course, the back lock, and it's got a really extremely tight detent ball. However, this back spring, this knife has been probably opened up thousands of times because it was this fella's everyday carry, and this back spring has got more than enough pull on it. You do have to be a little bit careful too as well. You know, when you back lock, it's good to have that drop on your finger. If your finger goes a little bit too low, you'll get that jimping right in the finger. One of the knocks that I do have on this, and I wish this knife had, is I wish this knife had something similar to this little choil here. Now you can use this almost like a finger choil, but it is not nearly as comfortable as the Native 5. Given my choice between these two, I think I would take the Native 5 over the Delica, but there's a lot of people who grew up on Delicas, and that's, you know, total sacrilege to themselves. It's, you know, it's nice that the Delica, it carries a lot thinner here than the Native 5, but other than that, no real super tremendous hot spots. You know, I haven't felt a whole lot of you know, stainless steel knives that have got this nice kind of rounded edge here. Lots of times you're stainless body knives. They're very square, and they've got that kind of, they're not as ergonomic. Where the Glesser fellas there, they did a fantastic job designing this knife. They designed their knives from the hand out, and I can see why. Extremely well put together, well designed, ergonomic knife that is, I think, an everyday carry Hall of Fame knife. Now, scale of 1 to 10, I'm definitely giving this knife probably, man oh man, if this knife had S30V steel on it, ZDP 189, I'm thinking, it's a 9 out of 10. The steel knocks it down to, I'm going to say 7.5 out of 10. I'm not a huge fan of the VG10 steel, even though it is extremely easy to sharpen. I like the idea of my knives holding their edge quite a bit longer. VG10 takes a wickedly sharp edge. I'm a little bit of a Sneelstall that way, guys. So, that is my little review of this Spyderco Delica. Now, if you like what you saw, please give me the thumbs up as well as subscribe. I'd appreciate it so much. We're hitting almost 700 subscribers, and I am so excited to hit that 1,000 because I want to do some live chats with you guys. So, if you like what you saw, please give me the thumbs up as well as subscribe. Now, we are not out of the woods yet with this whole COVID thing, so please stay safe. Listen to the experts. Keep your shiny side up, your stick on the ice. This is the Big Canucker saying adios.